Alright, I'm going to make a brief video on graphing parabolas and then transformations. Um, so what you can do is you can translate what we did with the parabola with some of the other parent functions like the square root or the absolute value. The concepts of reflections and shifts works the same. So we're going to start off with the very basic parent graph y equals x squared. And what you can do to kind of help yourself graph it and its transformations is you can first make yourself a table. Because I have limited real estate, I'm only going to make 5 points. So I'm going to center them around 0. And then when I input the x's, I'm going to square them. So negative 2 squared is 4, negative 1 squared is 1, and so forth. And I'll go ahead and plot my points, and that is my parabola right there. That's my parent graph, y equals x squared. From this, we're going to go ahead and graph some translations. So in red here, I'm going to look at y equals x squared minus 2. Okay, so what the minus 2 is going to do is it's going to subtract 2 from all of these values, because we're going to square it the same way, and then we're going to subtract 2 from all of those values. So really what it's going to do is it's going to lower all the y values, the outputs, by 2 units. So all I have to do is I need to move this point 2 units down, 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 and this point 2 units down. And then I'm going to have the same shape. Okay. And there's my parabola. So you can see it's just down 2 units. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and do another one here. We're going to look at y equals x minus 3, quantity squared. Okay, so when we're doing vertical up and down, it's pretty straightforward. It's just the sign of what we're adding or subtracting. Since this was negative 2, we just shifted it down. When it's grouped in with the x there, it's going to do the opposite. So when x minus 3 equals 0, that's going to be when x is equal to 3. So that's why we've moved it all the way over to 3 here. Okay, so everything's going to be shifted 3 to the left. So all those points are going to get shifted to the left, and we're going to draw the same picture. Okay. Now that would be a horizontal shift to the right 3 units. Okay, let's look at another one. Y equals negative x plus 2 quantity squared. And kind of the same idea. When is x plus 2 equals 0? That's going to be where we have our vertex. That's going to be the lowest or highest point. So it's going to be x equals negative 2. So our vertex, or our lowest point, is going to move over here. The negative is going to make all our outputs negative. So all our outputs here are going to be negative. So which means is it's going to end up opening down in some sort of fashion. So look, as I go over 1 and up 1 and over 1 and up 1, I'm going to kind of do the same thing with the parabola, but I'm going to go over 1 and down 1 instead. Over 1 and down 1. And then if I go over 1 and up, how many is that? 1, 2, 3. Over 1, up 3, and do the same thing. Over 1, down 3. Over 1, and down 3. And that's where I'm going to have my points here. And I'm going to make my parabola that way. So I'm just using what I know and then a little bit of knowledge of the transformation. So let's get all this stuff out of the way, and we'll go ahead and graph it. Okay. So the negative says it opens down, which is also called a reflection over the x-axis, and then it's going to go left too. Okay, so here's that over 1 down 1, over 1 down 1, over 1 down 3, over 1 down 3 we just mentioned. Okay, and there's our parabola. Okay, so it might take a little bit of practice, but if you can get the general shape of the original parabola, the x squared, then a lot of times we're just moving it around, left, right, up, down. Sometimes we're reflecting it. So the generic form is, or graphing form or vertex form is y equals a times x minus h squared plus k. The h comma k is going to be our starting point. That's where you're going to start your parabola. If the a is greater than 0, that means we're going to open up. If it's less than 0, we're going to open down. If it's larger than 1, depending on if it's positive or negative, it's going to be a stretch vertically. And if the absolute value is less than 1, it's going to be a vertical shrink, or shrink vertically, however you want to say that. So it can be negative and a stretch, and it can be negative and a shrink. It's the negative just causes it to reflect. So let's do another example. We'll go ahead and put our parabola in. Our y equals x squared. I'm going to label it y equals x squared. And we're going to ask to graph y equals 2x squared. So what the 2 is going to do is it's going to multiply each one of my outputs by 2. So you see this output of 2, if I multiply 0 by 2, it's still 0. If I multiply 1 by 2, I'm going to get 2. So it looks like I made a mistake here, so we're going to have to fix that right here. Sorry, that needs to be there, and we're going to have a point right here. So we're going to have to undo some stuff here. I drew a graph slightly off. So double this would be up here. Okay, so we're going to I'll have to fix a little bit because the video has something slightly wrong. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and I'm going to erase this because unfortunately it's not correct. We'll have to redo it. That's all right. And you get to see it in real time now. So this point right here gets doubled. This point right here gets doubled. And I don't have enough room to double the other points here and here. But we still get the same effect here as I draw my parabola. You can see that it is stretched. We stretched it. Now, we can say it grows twice as fast, and this is a vertical stretch by 2. Now, if we want to do a shrink, we need something that is between 0 and 1. So most of the time a fraction would probably be okay. And this one also has some movement around. We're going to first say it's a shrink of 1/3, and then we're going to move it right 3 and down 2. So we're going to start right here. I'll do it in red too. We're going to start right here, and the shrink is going to cause us to grow only 1/3 of what we normally would. So normally we would go over 1 and we go up 1 in both directions, over 1 and up 1. Here we're going to go over 1 and we're only going to grow 1/3, so the growth has been shrunk a little bit. And then to get to the next point, we're going to go up 1 and then we're going to go up 1, 2, 3, over 1 and up 1, 2, 3. So that's going to be shrunk a bit too. So let's go ahead and draw that in. And that would be a shrink. So you notice how we kind of squish it down so it's not growing quite as fast. Okay. Now the last thing to do is identify the transformation. So I'm just going to give you a couple of parabolas, and you just need to identify the transformations. So if you want to pause the video and try to identify the transformations, this would be vertical, horizontal shifts, reflections, stretches, or shrinks. All right. With the x plus 7 quantity squared minus 5, where the x plus 7 is zeroed out is at negative 7. That's going to move us left 7, and the negative 5 is going to move us down 5. So this is going to be left 7 and down 5. And our starting point will be negative 7 and negative 5. With the second one, the negative here is going to cause us to open down or reflect over the x-axis. The 3 is going to cause it to stretch or grow faster, a vertical stretch by 3. And the -2 is going to tell us we're going to shift to the right 2 units. So it's going to open down and reflected over the x-axis, and we shifted right 2. And our starting point is, all we did was we shifted right -2. We didn't go up or down, so we're still on the x-axis. So our starting point is -2, 0. Okay, and the last one, the +5, that's going to cause us to shift left 5, and the -3 will cause us to shift down 3. So left 5 and down 3, and we're going to start at -5 and, oops, if I say that, we forgot the negative sign there. Let's put the negative in there.